just a small gesture like that. So this is all simply about looking at our lives and seeing what's there and understanding what it is that motivates us. And I think if we do that, there's no wrong outcomes. We all look back on our lives and think, well, gee, if I had done this or done that, things would be different. Well, I from many different levels, including even scientific, there's no way to go back. There's no way. You did what you did because that's where you were when you did it. That's where your head was at. That's where you were in your growth. That's what your understanding was. You did it at the time because you thought it was the best thing to do. Now, of course, as time goes by and maybe your understanding grows or you get a bigger perspective, you look back and say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But that's a false sense of remorse, because you couldn't have done other than that at that moment, thinking that it was the right thing to do, given the circumstances you were in. Now, the only way to change that is what I'm actually talking about, and that's to become more mindful of what we're doing in the moment so that we can look at it with the largest lens, the biggest perspective, so that when we do make those decisions, we're doing it with as much knowledge and understanding as is possible to us in this moment. Most people don't do that. They just do things, they go, this feels right, and in the back of their mind they might even say, well, maybe not completely right, but it's as right as I can think. I need to do this, so I'm going to do it. It's a decision based on what feels right with the available information they have at that moment. But I do believe that you can teach yourself to have a larger view so that those decisions are more beneficial. And I'm sure that 3 years down the road, you'll look back and you'll still think that, given what you know then, going back, looking at what you did in the past, you're still going to second guess yourself. But to me, it's reassuring to know that I couldn't change it anyway. So I may as well take it, use it, learn from it, and add it to this moment and help me make new decisions in this moment, instead of spending all my time in regrets and guilt and beating myself up because I did something to someone that I now think was horrible, but at the time I felt I had to do. Guilt, regret, remorse, all of those things we don't need them because they don't do anything for us. In and of themselves, they don't. Looking back is okay. Going back and saying, maybe I could have made a better decision without emotion and judgment, that's okay. But when we load it up with, come on, I'm sure we've all had those things. I know I've had a few in my life where I look back and it's hard to even look. It's just, I look and I'm like, oh gosh, I feel so bad about that. I feel what I did in my mind was so wrong. Even things that no one else knew about. You know what I mean? It's like, I've had stuff in my past where I've done things that were not so nice. But at the time, no one even knew that I was doing something not so nice. But to me, it was horrible. And then looking back now, I look at it and it's like, I still am beating myself up over it. Even though it happened 35, 40 years ago. It's still there, And I have spent some time with that stuff, and I have created a relationship with those experiences, and I have learned how to look at those things as learning lessons instead of something that makes me wince when I look at them. Because again, there's nothing you can do now is going to change what you did then. It's done, it's gone, the situation's gone, the people have moved on, everything has changed. So to even spend a moment judging yourself for it is simply not useful. I think we think that remorse and guilt and shame are useful. I think we think that that's how we learn, is by beating ourselves up and convincing ourselves that we need to be better. I don't think that's true, because those emotions are so negative that they lower our self-esteem. They lower the way we look at ourselves to a point that we can't learn because it hurts too much. You've got to get rid of the hurt before you can learn the lesson. When you're still dwelling in the hurt of things, it's hard to learn from them because you just keep saying, oh God, that was horrible. Look at what I did. That's not teaching yourself anything, that's beating yourself up. So, I don't know how I got off on that track, but another just observation, I guess, of what's happening out there in our lives. You can be part of a tribe and still live your own life and your own rules and still function as a working member of everything without feeling the need to contradict them. It is. But if people are telling you in any social situation or any social organization that you need to do certain things or you need to think a certain way, most people's reaction is they either acquiesce or they resist. And so they tell them they're wrong. Why tell them they're wrong? Who cares? If it's not true to you, then it's not true to you. You don't need to make yourself feel better by convincing them that you're right. You just need to know you're right. I could give you 1,000 examples of that I've gone through recently in some of the different overlaps of philosophies and religions and teachings and things that I'm involved in. But when I look into these, if someone brings up something that makes me question what it is that sort of my understanding of things, instead of trying to talk them down or convince them that they're wrong or that the way I think is better, I dive into what they believe and see whether I can find, where is that coming from? What teaching or whatever, where is that coming from? And are they telling me what the teaching is, or are they telling me their personal interpretation of the teaching that is affecting me? Because I want to know. I don't feel threatened. I don't think anyone should feel threatened by anyone else's belief system, philosophy, thoughts, or whatever. I believe that it ought to be a catalyst for us to learn even more and continue to build up our own sense of understanding and beliefs that we have personally. No one else in this world has to think like you. No one else in this world has to feel like you. It's not a prerequisite. We're all individuals, completely, totally individual. Nobody thinks like us. I saw something the other day. It was wonderful. It was this sort of cascade of situations. It might have been actually lyrics in a song, but one of the things was in the song. I think the lyric was saying something about two people lying next to each other in bed, and each one of them having completely and totally different thoughts. Meaning that even though they're a couple, even though they may be in love, they share the same bed, they share a lot of their lives, and yet here they are lying next to each other, and what they're thinking is completely different than the other person. They're still complete, total individuals, and they don't need to be like each other. It's not a prerequisite to getting along with people to think like them. You can think like you do, and when they say something that is completely backwards to you, all I do is smile. I just smile at them because it's like, I think that's great you think that, but it's not true for me. And it's okay, and I don't have to make you know that even. I don't need them to know that I don't agree with them. It's not necessary. Because I have no business. This is it's a funny way of putting it, but I think it's dramatic. I have no business telling them what they should think, nor do they have. Even though they have taken it on as their business to tell me, that doesn't give me the right to turn around and tell them how they should be. Just because they made a mistake doesn't mean I should make one. And they can sit there and tell me all day long, do you know? it's like this, and I just smile. It's like, wow, there's another viewpoint, There's so many viewpoints in this world. It's okay. If that's what makes them get up in the morning, it's not what makes me get up in the morning. And making them agree with me does not strengthen me at all. I think I used this analogy last talk too. If you have a certain strong belief system and you were to find 1,000 people who completely and totally agreed with you, the next second in the back of your mind, you'd have a doubt. You would, because that's the way we are. It doesn't matter. And it also shows you that the 1,000 people make no difference at all. Not 1,000 or one, it doesn't make any difference. If it's only you have to know. You have to take the time to look inside. You have to find what's true for you and then live it.